Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And the 2035 season has not been going particularly well for our Rockies. We're not just looking for a 10th consecutive playoff appearance, but we're looking for a three-peat. And unfortunately, with a 29-27 record through the first 2 months of the season, we'd be a game out of a wild card spot if the season were to end today. Kevin Roberts Jr., as usual, having an absolutely outstanding season for us. The guy who we picked 5th overall back in 2026 has blossomed into one of the top players in all of baseball. And Leo Martinez, last year's Cy Young Award winner, who was a very fortuitous scouting discovery of ours back in 2027, looks potentially on his way to a back-to-back Cy Young Award. So some outstanding individual performances. The Aaron Judge experiment is over. We signed him to hopefully be a bridge player to our younger outfielders for this season after we decided to let Gus Neves, our longtime cleanup hitter in DH, go as he was heading into his mid-30s. And Judge was not effective over the first month and a half of the season or so until he broke his kneecap, which could be the end of his career at age 43. Definitely can't argue with the assertion that we would have been better this season with Nieves over either Judge or our young outfielders. To be fair to myself, I don't think I've ever asserted anything other than that, although I know there are still several members of the worldwide scouting department who are upset that Nieves is not back with us. But the thought is that as Nieves heads into his mid-30s, the third, fourth, fifth years of that contract, with the young outfielders we have coming up through our organization, would rather be giving them playing time and spending the considerable funds that Nieves would have been making on somebody else. But clearly, Judge as the bridge to those younger outfielders did not work out this year. My hope is we can still guide this team into the playoffs, and then when we do pare the pitching staff down to 12 players come playoff time, hopefully have some opportunities to mix and match in platoon situations with some of those young outfielders, put themselves into the best situations possible to be productive for us come October. But we've got a lot of work to do between now and October to ensure that we are playing postseason baseball once again. 3 big games coming up against the Dodgers. As far as other divisional games, we've got a series at home against the Diamondbacks next weekend, and then we'll be facing the Dodgers and the Giants on the road at the end of the month. Looking at the standings, we're looking up at the Dodgers and the Giants, and the Diamondbacks only half a game behind us. So although the Padres with Gus Neves are having an historically bad season at 15-43, we'll get a crack at the other 3 teams that we are competing with here in the National League West over these next several weeks as we head towards the midpoint of the season. And we did take 2 out of 3 at home against the Dodgers to close the gap on them in the division by a game to 6. You can see we're hoping to have Ezekiel Tovar, our starting shortstop, back in very short order. Still a couple weeks away from a potential return of the good reliever Rich Hannon, our closer Adonis Valer, and Judge, of course, done for the year. And we're still about a month and a half away from return for Mike Girard. He injured himself late last year and had a setback a month or 2 ago. So hoping we might have him back sometime in June. At this point, hopefully after the All-Star break, he'll be rehabbed and ready to join us at the major league level. And we've been a 500 team since the last time we checked in. Lost 2 out of 3 at Cincinnati and lost 2 out of 3 home against Arizona. Since then, though, we did win 2 out of 3 on the road in Philadelphia and win 2 out of 3 on the road in Texas. So better road trip for us with a 4-2 record. We're now home against the Mets and the Marlins before those divisional games against the Giants and Dodgers at the end of the month. Kevin Roberts Jr. continues to smoke the ball, 474 average with 3 homers and 8 ribbies last week. He continues to have an absolutely monster season, leading the league in batting average, second in homers, second in ribbies, still leading the league in OPS at over 1,100 and easily leading the league in batter WAR. I guess the small amount of progress is that we have closed the gap by half a game on the Dodgers when all is said and done, and gotten a little closer to the Giants since the last time we checked in. But we're half a game worse, obviously, against the Dodgers than when we had closed the gap to 6 following the series. But I'm comparing that to the start of the month, trying to find any silver lining we can in how this season is going for the Rockies. Pitching-wise, Leo Martinez continues to lead the league in wins and pitcher WAR. So Martinez and Roberts Jr. both having monster seasons. The issue is not many of their teammates have stepped up thus far. And we took 3 out of 4 against the Mets, which is positive, although we lost the final game going for a sweep at home. 3 coming up against the Marlins, 6 games back at this point, but we have moved past the Giants into second place, and you can see we would have a wild card spot were the season to end today. So definitely have started to make a little bit of ground up over the course of this month. Some other good news, Rich Hannon, the good relief pitcher, finally healthy and ready to come off of the IL, so hopefully that will help strengthen our bullpen going forward. And unfortunately, we lost 2 out of 3 at home against the Marlins. Still a 4-3 week, so still positive, but not the result we were hoping when we won the first 3 games of the week. We're on the road now for the Giants and the Dodgers as we head towards the midway point of the season and the end of the month of June. And we took 2 out of 3 on the road in San Francisco to get ourselves to the exact midway point of the season at 43-38, so on pace for 86 wins, which would certainly be our worst season in quite some time. 5.5 behind the Dodgers in the division in second place here at the midway point, and we are holding on to that final wild card spot in the National League by just half a game over the Phillies. Kevin Roberts Jr. continuing to have a monster season, leading the league in hitting, second in homers, third in ribbies, leading the league in OPS and batter WAR. Anthony Pack Jr., as you can see, is third in the league in steals this year. Ryan Stone had a nice hitting streak of 18 games earlier in the year, and Leo Martinez leading the league in pitcher WAR and wins, and second in earned run average is our 2 young stars who have combined for 2 MVP awards in 2032 and 2033 from Roberts, and a Cy Young Award in 2034 from Martinez. Look to perhaps both add to their trophy cases in the same season this year. But the primary goal is going to be to get these Rockies back into the playoffs. And as I said, we're holding on to the last playoff spot right now, but certainly want to play better to ensure that we get there. Charlie Monfort did expect more from us. Fan interest not that great, and he was also looking for some improvement in road games. Still delighted with our overall performance, happy with our progress towards the goals, but clearly at 43-38, the season on the field not going quite as we had hoped. And before we do a deeper dive on our team's statistics, we will take a quick look at what Gus Neves has been doing for those struggling San Diego Padres. And Neves himself has definitely been struggling since the last time we checked in on him. Batting average 234 with 17 homers and 42 ribbies midway through the season. Struck out 97 times in 278 at-bats. Still has a 117 WRC plus, so obviously a lot more productive than Judge was for us. But he's really struggled this last month. His stats were not bad through April and May. Yeah, 177 average in the month of June, just a 60 WRC plus. So we'll have to see if that is just an aberration in what was otherwise a nice start to the season for him, or perhaps the first signs that at 34 years old, maybe Neves is starting to lose it a little bit. Clearly 1 month too early to make that type of determination. My hunch is he'll probably bounce back from that, but a rough month of June for Pex Neves and the Padres. Turning to our Colorado Rockies, our 43-38 record is now 2 worse than expectations. 14-11 record in June, our second best month of the season behind April. We were 500 in May, and we did start out 0-3 in the month of March. The nice news is that even without Neves, the offense has gotten a lot better over the past month, now tied for first in the National League in runs scored, and you can see we're in the first 4 or 5 in most offensive categories in the National League. Also good base running, second in steals and fourth in base running. The defense above average, fifth in defensive efficiency and fourth in zone rating. The disappointment is 9th in the National League in runs allowed. Certainly have been pitching better than that for most of the past several years. But outside of Leo Martinez and to a lesser extent Noah Schultz, as we'll be talking about shortly, our starting rotation has been not exactly what we hoped as a aggregate group, ranking at this point 8th in the National League in team ERA among starters. And taking a look at that pitching staff, Leo Martinez, as we've talked about, 10-3 with a 2.63 ERA. Looks like he could be well on his way to a second straight Cy Young Award. So no complaints there. Noah Schultz, who opted into a fourth year with us this year. The record 6-7 is disappointing. The 3.71 ERA higher than it was a year ago. That said, still striking out almost 10 batters per 9 innings, put up a 1.5 WAR on the season. Hope that he can pitch better over the second half of the year, given his ratings. Certainly think that that's possible. The guy who's been a huge disappointment for us is Dylan Jordan. He's been healthy this year, which is positive compared to last year when, after 4 starts, his season was over. But a 2-9 record with an ERA of over 8 is absolutely dreadful. 19 home runs and 22 walks allowed in 61 1/3 innings pitched. We think he's still got the extreme ground ball tendencies and is decent at keeping the ball in the park. His overall ratings kind of look like what they have been. Stamina definitely has taken a hit coming out of the injury that he's had. You can see he's barely a 4-inning pitcher, or actually not even a 4-inning pitcher for us at this point. So might be time to think about supplementing someone who can go a little longer than Jordan into the rotation. Thinking about next year, he still views himself as a quality starter, looking for $22.5 million a year over 3 years. But given that his hold on a spot in the rotation is very tenuous, given the struggles he's had with his stamina, that demand seems particularly high. Andrew Painter, 4-5 with a 4.78 ERA this year. The issue with him, 11 home runs over 69 2/3 innings pitched, although that rate is actually slightly improved from where it was a year ago. Still almost a win above replacement, a competent fourth starter for us. And then Iverson Castellano, 6-3 record with a 4.28 ERA, similar to Painter, he's given up 12 home runs in 82 innings and almost a win above replacement. But those guys are fine as fourth and fifth starters. The issue is really Jordan, and we may look to make a move now. Glad that we didn't sign Jordan to a long-term deal, given that it seems like his stamina is shot coming back from that injury, unfortunately. Turning to the bullpen, with the season-ending injury to closer Adonis Valer, our former closer Wellington Herrera back in that role. 4-0 record with 8 saves, 3.38 ERA over 24 innings pitched. Has walked 12 batters, which was his big issue a year ago when he lost the closer role come playoff time. He's been fine, but certainly not dominant. Justin Gibson, 3.73 earned run average for him this year, over 41 innings pitched. BABIP that he's allowed is 342. Would hope that goes back to a lower number at some point. He is trying to lead the league in games and holds once again this year, which has become his habit for us. 3 straight years leading the league in games, 4 straight years leading the league in holds for us as a setup man and part-time stopper. But he's only been slightly above replacement level this year. Gibson finally potentially heading to free agency after this season. His demands have always been high and still pretty high, almost $20 million a year for a reliever, maybe more than we are willing to pay. Rich Hannon just came back from the IL, an ERA of close to 5 over 25 and a third innings pitched. The 17 walks has been the significant issue for him, and another guy whose BABIP is much higher than we would like. Dave Seibrecht, the lefty reliever, 4.72 ERA over 13 and a third innings pitched. He's been up and down this year with some of the injuries we've had to the pitching staff. He's on the team right now and basically has been a replacement level reliever for us. Luke Little continues to perform very well, a 1.16 ERA over 23 and a third innings pitched. Whip on the season 0.81. His BABIP against is just 203. Would expect, unfortunately, that to probably go up over the second half of the year. But the veteran left-hander has been effective for us. Bernie Barrera is conceivably the guy we may put into the rotation for Dylan Jordan. He has started a couple games for us over the course of the year. 1-2 record with a 4.40 ERA over 43 innings pitched. But he's got the stamina to actually be a major league starter at this point, which is unfortunately more than we can say for Dylan Jordan. Given that Jordan pitched yesterday, I think it probably is time for us to make that move. The young reliever Chris Kennedy, a 4.18 ERA over 28 innings pitched, definitely makes things happen. Walked 18 batters in those 28 innings, but he's also struck out 37, only allowed 1 home run on the season, half a win above replacement. Think he's somebody who could continue to have a more prominent role in our bullpen going forward. And our long reliever this year has been Gregorio Olvera, former 7th-round pick, 3-1 with a 3.34 ERA. He's pitched 56 2/3 innings. He would certainly be another option for the rotation, but at this point I think we're going to make the difficult move given the amount of money that we're paying Dylan Jordan to pull him out of the rotation. Let Bernie Barrera take over for him and hope that Jordan can contribute more to our success in the bullpen than he has in the rotation this year. Presumably he's pitching his final games with us. I think the issue, and we talked about this a lot during the off season, we felt like we had 2 number 1 starters at the top of the rotation with Martinez and Schultz, but with the likes of Painter, Castellano, Barrera, Olvera, Stoops, who's still in the minors, and other pitchers, felt like we had a bunch of 4th and 5th starters also. We're hoping that bringing Jordan back would bridge that number 3 starter role for us and give us someone we felt a little more confident in come playoff time, and unfortunately Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case with Jordan this year. So starting pitcher, if there's someone interesting on the trade market over the next month, could be an area for us to look for a rental, and certainly wouldn't mind helping the bullpen as well, given that we are without a very important pitcher, Adonis Valer, for the rest of this season. Turning now to our position players, and as I mentioned, despite moving on from Neves and Colt Keith and also having a failed experiment with Aaron Judge, we are tied for first in the league in runs scored. So by and large, these guys are doing their jobs offensively. Nate Harris, the young catcher, traded for him this past offseason, hitting .231 with 10 homers and 30 ribbies. He will likely be moving into a backup catcher role once Mike Girard is healthy, but with an 85 WRC plus and a win and a half above replacement. He has definitely been a positive addition for us. Kyle Teal, been our backup this year, hitting just 270 at-bats, a sickly 20 WRC plus as he struck out 22 times, has only 2 extra base hits and 3 ribbies on the season. He's been below replacement level. He's a guy who, when we traded with the Phillies a year ago when they were tearing things down, they were willing to keep his contract for this year as well at $1.4 million. Not that it's a ton of money, but it saves us a bit. But I would expect that once Mike Girard is ready to join us, Teal will be being waived and DFA'd. He's previously refused assignments to the minors. We've got him on the trade block, but not surprisingly, there's not a ton of interest in Kyle Teal at this point. First baseman is Ryan Stone, having another good, solid offensive season, which we've gotten used to from Ryan Stone. .285 average with 24 doubles, 14 home runs, scored 50 runs, drove in 49, 9 of 10 stealing bases, 130 WRC plus, and a 1.8 WAR for the solid first baseman. Cody Schreier is a guy who we picked up from the Phillies. He was heading into his final arbitration eligible year this season. We brought him back after he hit .330 for us in a small sample size a year ago, hitting just .224 for us this year. Does have 11 dingers in 254 at-bats, so he's put up a 92 WRC plus. He's been above replacement level for us. But certainly would think with him headed to free agency and looking for about $12.5 million a year for 4 years, that this could be his final year in our organization. Guy who could be getting more playing time with the potential departure of Schreier is Ross Nile DePaula. 293 average for us in 140 at-bats, 131 WRC plus, and a 1.2 WAR. He's been very productive this year in a utility infielder role for us, plays every day against left-handed pitching, and at times we have been playing him against right-handed pitching. Certainly could think about moving him in more regularly than Schreier. That may be a move that we look to make against right-handed pitching in the not-too-distant future. Would allow us to play Derby Mahez at second and then DePaula at third. And move Schreier into kind of the role that DePaul is in today, playing every day against left-handed pitching, and then just being a utility infielder other than that. Derby Mahez, finally healthy and finally getting an opportunity to play every day in the majors at the age of 26. The former first-round pick out of UCLA, actually producing for us, hitting .280, 19 doubles, 3 triples, and 9 dingers. He's stolen 12 bases for us. Overall, he's put up a 130 WRC plus and a close to 2 WAR. When Tovar was out with his injury, he was actually our everyday shortstop for almost 3 weeks, although he's been playing third base and first base more frequently recently. I do think that we will be pivoting him to second base and moving Schreier out of the lineup for DePaula against right-handed pitching going forward. Utility infielder Bryce Rayner does give us a left-handed bat off the bench. He's hit 264 for us in 125 at-bats. 86 WRC plus, above replacement level, capable of playing several positions competently. He's going to be 30 in about a week, less than a week. He's wrecked physically, probably not a critically important part of our future, although we do have a team option for him for next season if we want to bring him back for potentially the next 2 years, since he's got a player option for the final year of that 3-year contract he signed last offseason. Certainly holding his own for us right now. And shortstop Ezekiel Tovar, as we talked about last episode, this is a guy who unfortunately at 33 years old seems like the offense is finally deteriorating. Also had some injury issues this year. He's wrecked physically at this point, hitting just a .196 with only 5 homers and 15 ribbies in 57 games. An ugly 40 WRC plus that is so poor that despite him still being a very good defensive player and a good base runner with 8 steals and 9 attempts, he's basically been a replacement level player for us. He's heading into the final year of his contract, a 5-year deal that we signed with him. He does have the player option for next season. Certainly with the way he's performed thus far, we'd probably be hoping that he opts out, but odds are he won't do that. And before we get into the outfielders, we have made the move that we thought about, moving DePaula into the lineup at third, pivoting Mahez to second base, and pushing Schreier to the bench. That'll definitely tighten up the middle infield defense for us, since Mahez is the most talented defender of those three, and we'll get to move him from third to second. And the hope is that DePaula will provide a bit more offense than Schreier had been. Those guys are somewhat similar defensive players, more than competent at third base and other positions, but not Gold Glove quality. Turning finally to our outfielders, left fielder Ted Miller, 260 average, 19 homers, 56 ribbies, 136 WRC plus, 1.5 WAR. Like Ryan Stone at first base, this is a guy who was a important draft pick for us many years ago, a second rounder in 2027, and both him and Stone have become very good hitters. Unfortunately, as we've talked about previously, Stone in particular has extreme splits between his ability against right-handed batters or right-handed pitchers and left-handed pitchers. Ted Miller, a little bit less so. Monster against right-handed pitchers, and he can hold his own against left-handed pitchers at least. But Miller, with the departure of Judge, has been our DH against left-handed pitching for the last month and a half or so, so he's playing a bit more frequently than Stone is. Kevin Waymont, a young outfielder who is playing for us since he's a left-handed hitter, playing left field for us against right-handed pitching, and with the injuries that we've experienced, he's actually moved into the number 5 hole in the lineup against right-handed pitching. 232 average with 4 homers and 15 ribbies, making his major league debut, playing in his first 38 games since the injury to Judge. Actually, that's not his major league debut. I forgot he was up with us at the end of last year. 65 WRC plus. He's been below replacement level. Honestly, when I think about this team, don't know if Waymont is a big part of our future. But given that he is a left-handed hitter, and when we think about his ratings, he should at least be able to hold his own against right-handed pitching. I think that he is probably most likely to continue getting some playing time over these next several months, unless we're able to find a really interesting left-handed or switch-hitting outfielder on the trade market for a cheap price as a rental to be our bridge to some of the other youngsters next year. Center fielder Anthony Pack Jr. Talked about his success on the base paths, third in the league with 25 steals and 26 attempts. But the offense this year has taken a big step backwards, batting just .227, 51 WRC plus, 6 homers, 32 ribbies for the center fielder. Still a win above replacement. He was a Gold Glove winner last year, and he remains a very good center fielder with an 8.8 zone rating, 1.074 defensive efficiency, although his arm is not great. But certainly the young, or I guess he's not that young anymore at the age of 28, but the center fielder is not hitting the way that we would have hoped. Chris Roy, another guy who's basically in a platoon, essentially, in terms of his playing time this year, with Kevin Wayment in left field, since we're waiting for the more highly regarded outfielders in AAA to be fully ready. Roy's been up with us since the beginning of the year, hitting .292 with 4 homers and 12 ribbies and 89 at-bats, 107 WRC plus, just above replacement level. Again, our thought is that over time, Roy and Kevin Wayment probably have less prominent roles for us. But we do want to make sure that the outstanding young prospects, Phil Dingwell and then Mike Castro, who we picked in the first round a year ago, get to play every day while they're still developing. So they're still both in AAA, although I think they're bigger parts of our future than Wayment and Roy. And we've already talked a lot this episode about Kevin Roberts Jr., had a chance at getting a third straight MVP a year ago before he missed the final month of the season with an injury. This year looks like he's got a good chance at making it 3 MVPs in 4 years, hitting a league best .357, 22 homers, 59 ribbies, 20 stolen bases. That OPS of over 1,100 that we've talked about, ridiculous 198 WRC plus, and a 5.3 WAR for Roberts Jr. already. 5 Tools remains by far the best draft pick we've made in this series so far, and really excited to see what he continues to do over the course of his career in Colorado. So if there was an opportunity to add, as I said, a left-handed hitting or switch hitting outfielder that we liked more than Kevin Wayment, that might be something that we think about doing in the coming month or so till we get to the trade deadline. Other than that, though, I think we hope we improve catcher when Gerard comes back and Teal presumably leaves. And I don't know that there's a ton that we would look to do with our infield. Kind of like the guys that we've got, like the production for the most part, with the exception of Tovar. And we'll just hope that Tovar produces a bit more over the second half of this season before he and Noah Schultz have big decisions to make on their player options this upcoming off season. And since I've been hinting at some of those young outfielders we have in AAA, and they both rank among the top 100 prospects in baseball, we'll take a quick look here at how our 6 top 100 prospects in baseball have performed so far this year. Carlos Davila, our international free agent signing from about a year and a half ago, who was a rare, almost unanimous recommendation by the Worldwide Scouting Department, having a monster year in the ACL, hitting .408 there with 7 homers and 62 ribbies. We've only got about a week or so left in the ACL season. To me, when we were talking about Davila last offseason, the question was whether after he started in the ACL, would we send him back to the DSL, given that he is only 18 years old, or would he potentially be ready for the California League? Looks like he is probably able to hold his own in A-ball. So I have a feeling that over the next week and a half or so, when this ACL season finally comes to an end, we are going to promote the 18-year-old number 17 prospect in baseball to the California League, where Bare Barrel Davila can continue his attempt at developing into a very important player for us down the line. Jeff Colson, first-round pitcher that we picked back in 2032, high school pitcher, fragile in terms of his injury proneness, has had some injury issues, but very effective this year now that we got him out of rookie ball. He was 2-0 and didn't allow a run in 17 innings in A ball. We promoted him to high A about a month ago, and he's 4-1 with a 1.41 ERA there. Just turned 21 a little over a month ago. Not far off being ready for the majors. The question is, do we promote him to Double A? Looks like he can probably hold his own there. Don't know that we do it right now. We'll take a look offline at his relationships with the manager and the pitching coach in Spokane and High A, and then what he would potentially have in Hartford and Double A before we make a decision. But seems likely that the 21-year-old will be up in Double A before the end of the year. Phil Dingwell has been learning how to play first base just to improve his versatility down in AAA this year. The 23-year-old supplemental first-round pick in 2030 after struggling when he made his AAA debut a year ago, having an absolutely monster season there this year. 360 average, 25 homers, 62 ribbies, ridiculous OPS approaching 1,300 and a 3.3 WAR on the season. Taking a look at his ratings, he is going to be following that Ted Miller and Ryan Stone model of somewhat extreme lefty and righty splits. The concern with Dingwell, just in terms of his playing time, is that as a right-handed hitter, he looks ready to destroy major league lefties at this point. And honestly, at this point, he can hold his own against right-handed major league pitching, it looks like. Have to think about things. I think ultimately, although we're training him up at first base, he's got the skills to play left field for us. I think that he could be a pretty interesting solution to the platoon that we talked about with the two youngsters in left field. Dingwell would go right into the middle of our lineup against left-handed pitching, and I think that you could certainly argue that even against right-handed pitching, he can probably give us close to what Kevin Wayment has given us so far. So Dingwell could be not too far away from a promotion. I guess at this point, if we want to be a little sneaky around prospect promotion incentives, maybe we don't promote him until September and try to set him up to perhaps be a rookie of the year next year to give us an opportunity to maybe reap some extra draft picks, because Dingwell still isn't even on the 40-man roster, but clearly would be happy to put him there if he's ready. Dan Patterson, second-round pick of ours in 2031, the young pitcher, the number 28 prospect in baseball, started the year in High A, where he was 5-1 with a 2.31 ERA, promoted him up to Double A Hartford a month ago, 3-0 with a 3.48 ERA there. Patterson doesn't look like he's going to be a superstar, but love the captain personality, love the influence in the clubhouse, and with the fact that we could be moving on from guys like Castellano and Schultz in our rotation this upcoming offseason, Patterson could be playing a important role in the majors for us in the not too distant future. Would think that we'll see him in AAA before the end of the year. Mike Castro is our other young outfielder that we're excited about in AAA. First-round pick a year ago, the number 65 prospect in baseball. Not doing the same amount of damage that Dingwell is, but still has been an above-average offensive player, hitting 287, extra base machine with 20 doubles and 4 triples to go along with 7 home runs for him this year. Also 10 of 10 stealing bases. Another right-handed hitter in the case of Castro, although his splits are certainly closer to being balanced against lefties and righties. as I noted, ultimately the thought is that Dingwell and Castro are going to be bigger parts of our future than the likes of Kevin Waymont and the other young outfielder who's playing for us against left-handed pitching, whose name I happen to forget right now, Chris Roy. Just a matter of when we want to promote those guys. And our final and sixth top 100 prospect is the pitcher Kikaku Kawakami, scouting discovery from back in 29, number 95 prospect in baseball. 8-2 with a 3.35 ERA this year in high A ball. He looks like he is borderline ready for the Eastern League. We don't have to rush him up there, but would think that at some point in the not too distant future, the soon-to-be 23-year-old this offseason will get promoted to Double-A before the end of the year to see what he can do against the next level higher of competition. So we definitely made a little bit of progress this month. As I noted, we'd be in the playoffs if the season were to end today, but just barely. Looks like we're a couple weeks away from Gerard being able to begin a rehab assignment. Again, the hope would be maybe we have him back in the majors on the other side of the All-Star break. Judge and Valère out for the year, and as we've talked about, it's very conceivable after that broken kneecap that Judge may just call it a career at the age of 43. And I'd expect that as teams start more realistically falling out of the race over the next several weeks as we get closer to the trade deadline, that there will be more people available. Can't say that the lefty or switch-hitting outfielder who's going to be a true difference maker looks like he's available to us on the trade block at this point. So that could ultimately mean that Dingwell might be the best solution there, but we'll keep an eye on things as far as potential position players that we could add going forward. Pitchers, the market is not particularly impressive right now. Certainly would think about investigating the likes of Hunter Browns, Justin Florentino, and Jordan Woods, given that, we don't love the fact that we've got a bunch of fourth and fifth starters at this point. To be fair, though, I don't know that any of these guys is a true difference maker and that much of an upgrade over the likes of Painter and Barrera. Certainly would love if we can put ourselves in a situation for the potential postseason where we feel real good about who our third starter is behind Martinez and Schultz. But again, in this relatively early going of approaching the trade deadline, at least as far as the players who are being actively shopped by their teams, doesn't necessarily seem that a really good number 3 starter for a playoff team is readily available. But we will continue looking for and investigating all of our options, because even though it hasn't been a scintillating start to this season, we are definitely a win-now team, and we do have the ability to take on a contract or two as we get closer to the trade deadline and our efforts to hopefully win a three-peat this year. A lot of work to do to just ensure we're in the playoffs, but do like the fact that if we get there at the top of our rotation with Martinez and Schultz, feel like we've got 2 starters that can match up with anyone in baseball, and feel like Kevin Five Tools Roberts Jr. is the best player on just about any baseball field that he happens to walk onto. Next time around, we'll continue simming through the next couple weeks of the season, thinking about whether there's anything to do in the trade market, and ultimately preparing for the draft. We'll take a look at the options available at the end of the next episode. The positive thing that we do have going for us is that In addition to the 33rd overall pick in the draft, we will also have the 38th overall pick with the compensatory selection that we got for the departure of Neves. So 2 picks in the top 38 will be coming up for the Rockies 2 episodes from now. And next episode, we'll take a look at the pool and who's potentially available for us when we are on the clock. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.